She back. It's a whole new season, new episodes. I felt like that makes it seem like cover up my absence better. Like I was just on hiatus. It's a new season. We were on break. Yeah, it's just been like a super busy couple of weeks, you guys. Sorry if I've been inconsistent. Mostly sorry to the algorithm, to be honest. I'm not like a slave to this channel. I know that it's good to do the videos every day if you want to grow a channel, but I also never wanted to be like in a gilded cage with this thing either. So my deal to myself was that I needed to make a practice of showing up every day, but it wasn't going to be so rigid that I couldn't like live or like give myself some rest or whatever. So over the weekend, it was just like there was a lot going on. Me and my family, it was like me and my sister and her wife and my mom, and then my nephew and his wife that I work with. We always get together and go to the farmer's market and buy our fall pumpkins. And so we had that on Saturday, and then I still had to work Saturday night. And we have had like record-breaking sales at the restaurant like all week. It's been insane, which has been great, but it's been like super tiring too. So I had a really challenging night Saturday. So I went into the restaurant like high as a kite on pumpkins. I got the best pumpkins at the farmer's market. Like one of my pumpkins looks like a Jackson Pollock painting. It is like the best pumpkin that has ever been. So I was just like, man, my pumpkin game was on. I got all kinds of like really good photos of the gourds and seasonal produce, and I was just like, it was like starting to get cool out and the leaves are starting to change. So I just went into the work literally skipping and doing like split leaps and like twirls in the air. And then I had like the best section I'd ever had. It was like a large party table and a couple of the bigger, smaller, large tables, if that makes sense. And then another little two-top. And so I had a nice piece of prime real estate. And I had like more sales than I have ever had, like the highest sales I've ever had in my life. But one of my largest tickets was almost an $800 ticket, and the table were from out of town, and they had like, I don't know, an issue that was like, it was just like a common thing, but it didn't have anything to do with me, and they could have just said something, but they didn't. And so they waited. Like, I think the one woman was like an adult daughter of like a difficult father who probably has a history of embarrassing the family at restaurants. So she didn't want to say anything, but then he brought it up. And so I don't know, it was just this thing. And I did everything I could to like, iron out the situation and get them all happy and like leaving happy and like taken care of. And they still ended up tipping me horribly. Like when I say horribly, like it costed me money, because we like as servers, if you have never worked at a restaurant, this is how it works. If your server isn't the one bringing you things, don't worry, because now how restaurants work is that everyone is running food and drinks no matter if they're theirs or not. The important part is that it gets to the table while it's fresh. And so we earn our own tips. So each server owns their own tips, but we, help each other run food and drinks, and we're required to. And so it just works as a team effort. And it's like that way the customer gets the best product in front of them regardless. And then we have, on top of it, we have waiters assistants who are doing like food running and like helping us with things and all kinds of stuff. So that's that. But then because of that, we also have to servers have to tip out their support staff and their bartenders and their hosts. And it comes out, it's like a percentage of their sales. It doesn't matter if their tips were good or not. Like they have to tip out the service, their support staff based on their sales percentages. So if you're not like getting tipped 20% at least, you're not making anything, because you have to give all your money away. And this check was about $800, or what it was before we adjusted some discounts for them on a couple of items. And they ended up tipping me $30. It should have been like, if it was an $800 check, it should have been at least $160 tip, if not more. I mean, I opened several bottles of wine for them. It was like, I really took care of them. And so I was short about $150. out of like what, just off of that table. And I was like, and that probably sounds like, why are you complaining? But I mean, you work really hard, and it's like you work really hard ongoing all the time, and you have your good nights and bad nights. So the nights where you're like, oh my God, this could be a really good night, it makes a big difference. And if you get like messed over like that, when you're like, oh my gosh, this was like you're like, your hopes are so high, you're like, oh my gosh, I'll finally get ahead. And then that happens, and I was so tired, and I was such a little baby. I was just like so tender, so like could not handle the harshness of that reality, and I just wept. I was so tired. It was the end of my night. I'd been like creamed just like all weekend, just beaten to a pulp. And then that happened, and I just was like so tired and frustrated. I just started crying, and I couldn't stop. I got home last night and I was like, I need to make the video. And I couldn't stop, and I couldn't really get it together. I was just so tired and weepy, and I knew that I needed to like be resilient and push through, but I couldn't, and I was like, I usually do. I usually take it in stride, but at this point I just needed probably a release to just cleanse the vessel. But so I wasn't here last night because I had a nervous breakdown. And then today I almost was like tired and almost took another day off, but it really affects my reach. Like if I don't show up for a couple of days, like I lose tens of thousands of reach. But if only a few people like and comment on the video, the reach expands again to more tens of thousands. So you guys like and share and comment on these videos, especially if you're here often or if you enjoy the content and like what you see. But tonight I went to Elton John. It's the farewell tour, and me and my sister were pretty sure he said that Nashville was his last show. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was, and we were just like, oh my God, it was like the last show, oh my God. And I won these tickets by chance last year. It was right after my breakup. I was on a show, and I was feeling almost radioactive with like shock and empowerment and like raw energy after like your life turns upside down. And I was out shooting B-roll with my camera, like a small camera crew or whatever around Nashville. And we stopped to eat lunch at this restaurant, and I went into the bathroom to wash my hands, and on the stall door, there was an advertisement. It was like click on the QR code to enter to win Elton John tickets. And I was like, oh, I never win contests, but I also like just don't like enter them that much. I was like, I'm gonna win these tickets. These are my tickets. And I like entered to win, and the app was like messing up, and I was just determined. I was like, no, I reloaded it, and I was like, I'm going to do this. And it took me like several tries to get it to complete. But I ended up getting like a message like a few weeks later that like I had won Elton John tickets, and I almost forgot all about it. And I was like, oh my God, that's the thing from the bathroom stall. And it was from a like local radio station. I couldn't believe it. In the whole year, I was like, I still don't believe this is real until they like showed up in my inbox like about a week before the show or 2 weeks before the show. And I was like, holy shit, it's really happening. And I was still so paranoid that it was going to get canceled because it was like the last chance to see Elton John. And he mentioned tonight that he had just gotten over COVID like 3 days before this show. And I was like, oh my God, what if he had canceled? Like, it was like by the hair of our teeth. We got to see Elton John, and he was so great. And you would never have known that he had been like had COVID. Like, I couldn't do anything for like 2 weeks after I had COVID. I was like, I thought I'd like permanently like lost my spark. But yeah, it was an amazing show. Me and my sister went, and had like the best time. But so we're here. We are doing our Oracle energy forecast for the week using the Oracle of Oddities. Just 9 minutes in. Sorry, I just had to catch all up on my life. And our first card is Voice, which goes along with a lot of other messages that I've been getting. Like I just did my own weekly spread for the week, and then I was tuning into some of my other favorite readers, and definitely, well, Mercury's going direct, and Venus, I think, is trining like there's some other things going on this week that makes me think that heart-to-heart conversations, and it had made me think that that might be a theme for the week, or that maybe you need to really voice your truth. You need to speak up or say something, but speak from the heart, and don't let emotions run high to the point that you get defensive or sharp or anything like that. Just try to listen before you speak, you know, be humble, be loving and kind, whatever it is that you need to talk about. Be fair, you know, try not to be hostile or angry or yeah, just try not to be hard. Try to be soft. Try to be soft. Try to be open. Let's see what else. Let's see what else comes. Yeah, it's I think it's a good time right now to let some of the armor off and the defense mechanisms and the masks. You know, don't put on airs. Just be real, authentic and raw. Okay, what else do we need to know coming up for this week that will... Okay, this literally like pushed out of the deck into my hand. So it's the same fucking card. Voice. Can you believe it? Okay, so the Oracle of Oddities is, there's 3 editions. There's 3 separate decks, and I have mushed all mine into one deck, and there's like maybe 1 or 2 replicas that are like, that made an appearance in like 2 of the decks or whatever, and I didn't even realize or remember that voice was one of them. So double emphasis on conversations from the heart. Like, if we, like, that's how much more confirmation can you get? And I mean, look how many cards. This is a thick deck. This is more than 70 something cards. That's fucking crazy. Okay. Voice. Be nice. Be soft, be open. Don't put on airs, don't put on masks. Be real. Okay? Wow. Voice twice in a row. Not like later in the reading either. Like, that's fucking crazy. Okay. All right. What is this? Cooperation. Okay. Good talk. Like, I think that you're going to find a way to find common ground. I've always been really, like, the art on this particular card has always struck me that it's almost like they're conjoined twins. But I always noticed the uniformity and the similarity, the way that the two are the same size, the same shape, they match, right? I love these. It's like, have you ever slept head to foot with someone? This reminds me of kind of like what they're doing. But somehow it's like these two have merged into one cooperative, unified whole. And I guess maybe it's like seeing eye to eye, you know, but either way, I think something is going to be sorted out, I think, for good. I think it's going to be a positive, it's going to take a turn for a positive resolution. I don't know what. Let's see if we can get any more insight. I have a feeling that the universe is going to want to keep us a little bit blind, and not give too much away. Okay, sorrow and reflection. May not be simple or straightforward. Yeah, I mean, maybe after a lot of reflection, something can finally be talked about. Maybe there's been a lot of grief that has been involved in the situation. maybe that we've been reflecting on a lot of the things that we've been grieving, and now after having reflected on that, we're able to have this voice, what we need to say. But either way, I feel like because there's voice showed up twice, I feel like there's both parties are both on the same page about wanting or needing to clear the air or to have this discussion. It's a mutual agreement that it needs to happen, but I don't know how it's gonna go. It may be that there has been a lot of grief that's already been processed, or there may be sadness that is going to result from this discussion. But either way, this has been reflected on long enough, and it needs to just happen so that the energy can move. So that the grief can be done and over with, and the chips can fall where they may, and things can settle in again and find a new whatever this is, a new way to connect, a new way of interacting. These are so merged. This is going to be an interesting week to see how this plays out and what exactly this is saying, because it's like this feels very childlike and playful to me. Something that has been something needs to be talked about, that these two people have both been two people or a company, like if you're working for like a place, that there's been a lot that you've reflected on. Maybe you need to do an exit interview. Maybe you need to communicate your boundaries within a workplace. This could be a friendship. This could be a family situation. This could be romantic. Either way, I think that an A and a B have both been reflecting, or at least you have in the situation, and it's time, and both sides are ready to discuss. And I think that it will leave the whole situation lighter. I think it just needs to happen to settle things in and clear the air. So let's just review this one more time. We have voice 2 times in a row. Cooperation, maybe there's a compromise that can be come to that leaves everyone feeling good, leaves everyone taken care of and happy. Maybe there's changes that want to be made on both sides that could be for the better. I know recently there were changes at my work, like small ones, but like a bunch of things that happened that changed, and actually everything got really like a whole lot better. Like little changes in the way that we were doing things, like it's like everything is like improved drastically, and it's insane. I've never been in any workplace where something changed and everything got better for everybody. It's so crazy. So I mean, but I do see that this is here. This is just an undeniable situation, an elephant in the room, a dark cloud. So hopefully this is something that is been reflected on and it's being processed. Either way, you may have a lot of feelings to process this week, to think about. But don't let them weigh on you. Let them pass through. Don't let them dampen your situation anymore, because I feel like we're really coming out of a lot of change, right? And especially at the end of this like huge cycle and beginning another. It could also be like the stages of grieving one era of your life being complete, right? And moving into like a new era and a new phase that you don't really see what it is yet. And you haven't seen who you are within that, or what it's all shaping up to be. And so you kind of feel a little adrift, a little like, shipwrecked in the top of a tree. Like, how did I get here? Where am I? Like, what is next? This is ridiculous. Like, where, like, I need my bearings, like, right? So try not to let sorrow bring you down. Don't ignore it either. I'd say let's get to the root of it and reflect on it, and then get to a point where you can say what you need to say. And when this time comes, it's good to communicate your emotions without becoming emotional, right? If you can do that and stay grounded, then I think that's the best way that both parties can communicate their needs and their feelings and hear each other out without it getting out of hand, or getting unhealthy, or people getting triggered, and then like things, getting ugly and turning for the worst, and maybe getting angry or hostile or upsetting, right? So, or maybe it'll go really well, who knows? But there's a lot of feelings involved right now, and a lot of tenseness in the air, and a lot of wild swirling energy that has not been really channeled into something specific yet. We're still in that period of trying to like let this foundation become solid within us with all this new the surge of like energy and consciousness and all of that, all of this light, all of this potential. It's just this raw power, this raw like energy and inspiration and motivation within us. It's just we don't know where to channel it yet. So it can stir up a lot from within. And it's good because it will clear the air so that the new beginning can happen, right? And I think that new beginning is like rolling out as this year is coming to an end. This whole year has been one big bridge. This has been one big like kind of transition year, right? But we're getting to the end of it, and we're getting to the beginning of a big new phase. And I think that we were like right in the like going through that portal during the Libra new moon that we just had during Rosh Hashanah. It was like, it felt very strong. Okay, you guys, voice, cooperation, like voice 2 times in a row. That's fucking crazy. Reflect and sorrow. So yeah, be compassionate towards yourself, your feelings, and the feelings of others this week when you're having these conversations. Tensions are still running high. Mercury did go to direct today, but it'll take about a week or so to get out of the shadow of it all. And then there's still a lot of things moving and grooving this week and having different aspects that are going to keep us still in an emotional state, but I think we're going to be getting a lot more clear on how we communicate within our relationships with the people that we know that are in our life, that we care about. And I think that that's going to allow us to do some healing and to put these different relationships into the context that they belong in. And, maybe some will go deeper and some will be, rearranged to maybe like an outer layer of a relationship. But either way, I think we'll have more clarity and more peace about it as we go forward in the next week or so, the next couple of weeks to come. I think that we are healing and changing on the inside so much that we're feeling secure and solid no matter how everything shakes out in the end anyway. So, all right, you guys, love you. I'm glad I got to catch you up on where I've been. Sorry I rattled on so much in the beginning of this video, but not really. Like, this is what we do. We chill, we catch up, we gab. All right, I'm going to relax and enjoy the rest of the night and enjoy going to bed early and getting good sleep. And I hope you do the same. All right, ciao.